thank you for coming out. I
Mhm. My
appreciate you coming
pleasure.
out. And this is Million Ways to Millions, and a kind of podcast where we
Mhm.
dedicate time to have conversations with people who, through various methods, were able to build wealth on their own.
Yep. Hmm.
And I think really trying to give hope to people who may be sitting there and be like, hey, what possible way would I be able to even retire? And give them some actionable steps and give them experiences from other people who have kind of done the same.
Hmm.
So,
Understood.
and you've had
Done it.
you've had an amazing journey where you've just made a lot of strategic decisions throughout your lifetime as you've built yourself a career, but then also on the side building yourself an investing portfolio, which has
Hmm.
been really impressive, and then teaching those lessons to your kids, which is awesome.
Hmm.
And so let's just dive in and do kind of a high level overview of give me like a 60-second recap of a couple of steps you made over time, and then we'll dive in going in deeper on
Okay.
the kind of the tactical decisions you made along the way.
Okay. So I actually came from a household of privilege. My
Mm-hmm.
dad was OBGYN,
Yep.
and we had a very nice lifestyle. And then I went to college. I was an x ray technician. And
Mm-hmm.
then I met my husband. He was also an x ray technician.
Mm-hmm.
And that was around 1977.
Yep.
And the significance of that is almost like today, it was a very inflationary period.
Yeah.
Very, very challenging for anybody to buy a house or something
Mm-hmm.
like that.
Yeah.
So, luckily, Bob had one double house,
A duplex.
a duplex.
Yeah.
So that enabled us to buy a house right after we were married. It's just
Mm-hmm.
a little starter house.
Yep.
And then as things were going, I could see the middle class was slipping away, slipping backwards. Upper
Yeah.
middle
The
class was slipping
inflation was kind
backwards.
of putting that downward pressure on people.
A lot of
Yeah.
downward pressure. And I'm thinking, okay, we want to have a family someday,
Mm-hmm.
fairly soon. And so we tried to move into a 4-bedroom colonial that would
Mm-hmm.
support a family. And we were going along great guns. We had the apartment. We were both working. In fact, on top of that, I would also sell Avon cosmetic
There you go. Yeah.
products in the hospital. I would just, put the book in the break rooms, and
Yeah. And
it would up my cash flow.
what industry were you in again?
I was an X-ray technician.
X-ray technician.
Yeah,
And so you went double, kind of triple income, no kids,
yeah, different
and
cash
yeah,
flows.
you're feeling you're doing all right. And then what talk through those next steps as you kind
The
of started tightening the belt a little bit.
Right. Okay. So what caused the tightening of the belt was Bob was going to get this new job, but it
Mm-hmm.
was in a different state. It was in New Jersey. We lived in New York.
Yeah.
So New Jersey's very expensive. We had to sell the double house in our 4-bedroom colonial just to buy one house
Yeah.
that was comparable.
Mm-hmm.
So he was traveling a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And by that time, our first son, Andrew, was born. And I found out, surprise, I was pregnant for the second child. So even thinking of going to work was
Mm-hmm.
difficult. And if I did, I'd pay almost everything in
Yeah.
daycare
It doesn't
expenses. So
make any
that
sense.
didn't work. So tighten the belt. And I knew I used 22 ounces of palm olive liquid every month. I did my own diapers. I baked my own bread. A sack of flour, a 5-pound bag of flour was 79 cents. So you get a lot of bread out of that.
Yeah, there you go.
I'd also buy bushels of vegetables. I would freeze them and can them,
Uh-huh.
make jams and jellies and
So you went
canned
from
products.
this double kind of triple income, no kids, and then when you're moved into this more expensive area, but
We lost 45% of our
you
income.
lost 45% of your income
Yeah.
because your husband moved into this different career path.
Hmm.
Now there's a lot of vertical trajectory you had mentioned to me, but it really caused you guys to tighten up the belt as
It was a
you lost all
sacrifice
this income.
to give him the
Yeah,
opportunity to do that.
and
Right.
you're making it work.
Right. So we did that for 2 years, and then he got another job, which had us move back to the Rochester, New York area,
Yeah,
or the upstate New York area. And surprise, pregnant again
third
with a
kid.
third kid. And it's like, oh, geez. So we moved back home, and Bob's on the road a lot. and I've got these 3 kids, and I felt extremely insecure because I
Mm-hmm.
was 100% dependent on Bob
Mm-hmm.
for everything. And it just made me feel uncomfortable. And
Mm-hmm.
then I'd start, talking about college for the kids and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which was coming up quickly. By this time, Andrew's 7 years old, college is 10 years away, and
Mm-hmm.
it's hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Oof.
So, in any case, Bob and I went down to the business opportunity and franchise show. So that's one of the methods we used.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, there was this vending business or this
Okay.
vending
Vending. Love
operation.
it.
So they want $20,000 for 10 machines, which is way expensive.
And you didn't have the $20,000.
No,
You're
of course.
living paycheck to
Had to
paycheck.
take a
Yeah.
loan and also kind of had to swallow my pride. Had to have Bob because I had no credit.
Mm,
I had no marketable skills anymore.
mm,
So we get a loan for $20,000. And that's hard to make up when your people are
yeah.
putting quarters in your machine.
And as you're getting this massive loan, which it might as well be $1 million, you guys don't have the money.
Yeah, right. We
What
don't
are
have
some of
that.
those fears and feelings you had to deal with as you're taking this step? Because it could pay off. You could make some money with this vending business, or it could all go to squat. Because right now there's no revenue coming in. What are some of those feelings you had to deal with?
It was a lot of fear and a fear of failure. It's like I could not let my
Mm-hmm.
family down
Mm-hmm.
and not at least pay back this loan.
Yep.
Whether I made money or not,
Yep.
that was the minimum. So there's a lot of
Mm,
sleepless nights. But in any
mm.
case, for the first 5 years, the kids came with me if we had to load machines and whatnot. We'd take the coins out and they learned to count to 10 and 15, 10 potato chips, Snickers bars, etc. And then the second 5 years, now I owned the vending business for 10 years. The
Dang.
second 5 years, I did hire a driver.
Awesome.
And so it gave me a little relief.
Now, did you buy more machines during this period of
Yes, I
time?
bought more
Okay,
machines and I
awesome,
placed them in businesses and hotels. And
awesome.
also the coffee that, like, when you come down in the morning,
Uh-huh.
and at that time,
Like a
there
quarter for a
was
cup of
no
coffee? Yeah.
breakfast, but they would offer coffee. So I
Oh,
placed the
interesting.
bun machine that made the
Very
drip
cool.
coffee, and I supplied the renewables, which was the creamer, the sugar,
Yep.
the tea, so on and
Awesome.
so forth.
So yeah, you had
So
all
that was
sorts of
another
machines. Yeah.
revenue stream. The whole thing was like trying to create these new
Okay.
revenue streams all the
Awesome.
time.
So within the first couple of years when you bought this business, how much money was this thing making like a month?
I remember $40,000,
For the
$10,000 a week. Wait, it's $10,000 a week.
a
I
week
rem-
or a year
a
or
week.
oh dang. So
No,
kind
it
of
was
right off the
10.
back, the vending
Well, it wasn't
machines,
right off the bat,
yeah,
but
within
that's
a
what
couple of
it
years. Yeah.
became.
Awesome.
That's what it became. And so that was good. And I was investing the money
Mm-hmm.
with a gentleman.
Awesome.
Um, and he encouraged me to come into the securities business. So I got
Mm-hmm.
licensed in 1995.
And so after this is what is this
I,
year 10 or is this year 9 of this vending business that you?
I bought the vending business in 1988.
Hmm.
I sold it in 1998. In
Okay.
between that and 1995, I got licensed for my securities license, a Series 7,
Yep.
which enables you to sell stocks and bonds and build
Perfect.
portfolios, and a Series 63,
Yeah.
which is the state part of it. So, at any rate, I kind of hopped over to another firm after that
Yeah.
because I wanted to learn more about building a portfolio and
Yeah.
whatnot. And then I changed firms a couple times
Yeah.
after that. And then it was 2000, and the
Yeah.
market was in a very precarious position. You had the dot-com thing going on.
Yeah.
People didn't know whether to stay invested or
Yeah.
put
So
their
there was a lot
money
of
in
fear going on
cash.
in that time. Yeah.
So at that time, I had conversations with my clients, and there ended up being a significant amount of money, cash,
Hmm.
on the sideline,
Yep.
waiting for the storm to clear.
Yep. So you had jumped into this securities business, and
From the vending business.
yep, from the vending business,
And we sold the vending business for
and so
$70,000.
so you
Wasn't a
originally
lot, but
bought this vending business
mhm.
$20,000 debt. So
Hmm.
you didn't put any of your own money in this. You just put your name on the line.
Hmm.
Ended up selling it 10 years later for 70 grand,
Hmm.
and then
Plus the
and
yearly
plus the
income.
year of the cash flow,
Hmm.
yearly cash flow. And so
Hmm.
at this point, it was you said it was making anywhere from like
$30,000 to $50,000.
a year, or yeah,
Yeah.
that's that's impressive, and it takes some
Yeah.
time to celebrate that. And so with this money, what sort of moves did you make on a personal
Well, we
financial
were
level?
investing the money
That's awesome.
for the kids' college education because, I had this fear. It's
Uh-huh.
like these kids are not going to have these loans,
Yeah.
and neither are Bob or I, because
Hmm.
how are we going to save for retirement if
Yeah.
we have these
Hmm.
college loans? So, at any rate, that was the thing that drove me: fear of failure, and of course, fear of being poor. If I was widowed, God forbid,
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
I really didn't have marketable skills,
Mm,
at least until I got my securities license and I developed a business.
awesome. And so then with that money, I know you mentioned you had started investing in some real estate and kind of turned the vending business, sold that, and then rolled it into a couple rental
Rolled the
properties.
cash, and
Awesome.
I ended up in 2001, over 2 years, bought
Mhm.
5 houses.
And you had so buying these
The-
rental properties, a little
mhm.
bit different period of time.
It
What did
was
it cost
cheap.
you? It was cheap.
It was cheap. You only, well, first of all, the building's a duplex, like a 2,100, 2,400 square foot
Hmm.
duplex would be around $40,000 or less.
Dang. Okay. There you
And
go.
if you went to get a mortgage, you only had to have 10% down.
Hmm. So then, yeah, you
So it
get
was
into
like,
it 4 grand.
yeah, right. So I could buy several of them in a short period of time.
So you took that 70 grand,
Yeah.
bought a
And
bunch of these rental properties, 5K a
right,
piece.
right. I actually took $50,000.
Okay, 50 of it. Got it.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But I had read Rich Dad Poor Dad,
There you go.
and
I
he
love that
said, he
book.
goes, one apartment's going to pay for the mortgage and the insurance
Uh-huh.
and the taxes, and one apartment's going to be your cash flow. And so I took that cash flow, it went in this pocket, and then it went out to the colleges from the other
You didn't really
pockets.
hold on to it. It just kind of
No,
passed
I
through.
didn't. It was
But
just
you,
I was the pass
it,
through entity.
you were the pass-through entity for
Hmm.
your kids' college, which is the reason you got into the vending business to begin with.
Right.
Is that you're, you know what, I see that there's this big expense coming up 10 years from now, but what can I do now to prepare for it?
Exactly.
And so you bought these vending machines, you cash flow for 10 years, sold it, you're able to convert it into these rental properties that
Hmm.
pay for your kids' college. That's awesome.
That's right.
All
It
right.
was.
So then you jump into securities,
Right.
and you jumped
Right.
around for a couple years trying to find a firm that would teach you the skills you need to learn.
Right.
And this it leads into a very fun new
Wonderful
journey.
opportunity.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I always tell people is like, opportunities walk in front of you all the time.
Mm,
You have to
yep.
be able to recognize them,
Yep.
but they are there every single day.
Yeah.
So, in any case,
Mm,
the market was
very good.
crashing, and my firm luckily brought in a gentleman, Dr. Charles Lieberman, who was the previously the chief investment or chief economist, pardon me,
There you go.
chief economist for JP Morgan Chase.
Very smart guy.
This guy's got skills. He worked for the Federal
Yeah.
Reserve. He was an academic.
Yep.
He taught economics. He worked for Chase Manhattan or Chemical Bank,
Mm-hmm.
Manufacturers Hanover, JP Morgan Chase.
Mm-hmm.
This is my guy. I get
Yep.
introduced to him,
Yep.
and I say, Dr. Lieberman, I've got all this cash of my client's money, or
Mm-hmm.
I've got all this cash of the client's money on the
Yep.
sidelines. And my problem is, when and what do I get them back in the
Yep.
market? So I started working with Dr. Lieberman, and shortly after that, I got a call from Entercom Radio.
Okay.
They're a new station in Rochester, New York, and they want a financial radio show on the
Very cool.
weekends. And I was like, wow, that's great, but I don't know anything about radio.
How did
Again,
you
an
get?
opportunity
Yeah,
walking in
walk
front
right in
of,
front of you.
yeah.
So how did? Why did they end up calling you guys?
Well, I was advertising for long-term care insurance
Got it.
on different radio
Awesome.
stations, not that one, but the
Got
different
it.
ones. So they were sniffing around for.
So for you're marketing your current business. You're trying to sell securities, and you're doing a good
and,
job
and
at it,
insurances.
and insurances. And so you started doing some advertising, jumped around a couple different radio stations just to public advertise.
Yeah.
And someone reached out to you like, hey, we got this new radio show that we want to start, teaching people financial literacy.
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah.
Right. It was a call-in show that they could call in for anything.
Answering questions.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I called Dr. Lieberman and Kevin Kern, his managing partner of Advisors Capital Management.
Yep.
And Dr. Lieberman said, grab it right now. I said, but I don't know anything about doing a talk radio show. He says, we'll teach you, grab
Doesn't
it,
matter, yeah.
and you'll be the host, and we'll be your guest. And the Common Sense Money Talk show was born.
Amazing. And how long did you do that for?
10 years, from
10
2002 to 2012.
Amazing. So you were just getting started. You're probably like 5 years into your securities career,
right?
And just because you're doing the work that needs to
I'm
get
really
done,
a novice.
Yeah, a novice. But you connected with these two great people who are super knowledgeable, and you're like
willing to take me under their wing.
I'm going to put myself right in the middle here and start hosting the show that I know nothing about,
and I'm going to learn a lot.
But again, great.
Self-motivating.
I love the comment you were making, the statement you said of, opportunity walks in front of us. And so you could have sat there and said, oh, well, I don't know anything about radio, so sorry, that's not for me. And rather, you got some great advice from your mentors here, but you're willing just to take that, maybe look a little stupid.
Definitely. You have to be willing to fail and willing to embarrass yourself. And that's the hardest thing. I think, what most people want in life is they want to be respected. And they're not always willing to learn or earn that respect.
Well, sometimes
that's another topic.
Sometimes you got to risk being embarrassed a little bit to do what needs to be done.
That's right.
To earn that respect.
Right. You have to sacrifice a lot of dignity.
Awesome. So what sort of opportunities came from the show? You're doing 10 years on the air. What sort of opportunities came from that?
We bought more real estate. Awesome. I built up a great business that I also sold.
What business was that?
Well, my securities business.
Company. Awesome.
I mean, I built up a good book of business to pass on.
Awesome.
To other advisors, and they paid me for it.
There you go. So
it was great.
You sold your second company at this point. You got the vending business, rolled that into securities and real estate, and then rolled this securities into being a talk show host for 10 years. And so at this point, what now you don't have the security business anymore. You're just running the radio show.
No. Oh, sorry, backwards.
No worries.
I'm building my securities business through hosting this show because people would, get a level of trust.
Yep.
And they could call into the show and ask questions. I also hosted a lot of seminars where they could come meet the man, meet Dr. Lieberman.
Yeah.
And Dr. Lieberman would go over all the economics, answer their questions in a very enjoyable atmosphere. And, they'd get some confidence to say, well, I'd like to learn more. Maybe we'll come on board, which a lot of them did.
That's amazing. And so when you ended up selling this,
that wasn't until a couple of years ago. I just sold it.
Just now you sold the securities company.
Yes.
Got it. Awesome.
Yeah. In 22, I sold the securities business.
Awesome. Well, yeah. Then just decades of just building that up and up, which is amazing. Right. And so you hosted the show for 10 years, using this show to advertise your securities business and grow that, which is amazing. And so you grow it. So what sort of assets under management did you have at the beginning, and then once you ended up selling it?
I don't know if I want to say that, but I mean, I got a good chunk
check out of it.
Yeah,
for sure.
When I sold it, and it was a good business because the securities business, like the vending business, is not an easy thing to sell because there's a lot of goodwill. Your clients are attached to you,
and that's what the benefit of this radio show was, is that you're building that goodwill.
Credibility. Yeah, it was credibility because my clients would stay right with Advisors Capital Management, even though they'd have another individual that they were working with. And like if your lawyer retires, it's like, he's gone. He doesn't even hook you up with somebody else.
Yeah. He just leaves. Yeah.
Yeah. Your dentist, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I mean, Sometimes it happens, but sometimes you're just left up to yourself.
And then I know that as you're building your this real estate, this portfolio, and you're able to pay for your kids' college tuition,
Yeah.
which is
Nobody
amazing.
had a loan after that.
Nobody had a loan. You got to
Yeah.
pay it in cash. It's great, yeah. And even all the steps you had to take. I know you had to take a loan out for one of them, but you're still able to pay it back
With the
with the
real
real estate
estate.
itself.
Yeah.
It's not coming out of your pocket.
Yeah.
And how many properties was that was cash flowing
I
for
ended
that?
up having 8, and Bob ended up having 8 at
Awesome.
the end of
No,
everything. So,
but just slowly over time, over the
hmm
course of several years, you're putting money into that. So, and the Rich Dad Poor Dad you mentioned was a big influence, but real estate, it's not everyone's first step.
right.
What made you look at real estate and be like, you know what, and rather than say putting it just in a mutual fund or something like that, you're willing to go put it into rental properties.
Um, because I think if you have those two asset classes,
Hmm.
uh, the stock markets, bond market, and
Hmm.
then real estate, I mean, it's hard to compete with it. I mean, real estate,
Mm.
I think, is like you
Top
can
notch.
top notch. You can make more money in real estate if you learn the techniques
Yep.
that leads to that.
Yep.
Um, so they're both risky,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
you just have to learn and you know
Take the risk.
take the risk.
And you
And
mentioned you have to learn, the skills. What
mhm.
sort of skills are you talking about when it comes to needing to succeed in that asset class? What are these skills that you learned in order
Well,
to?
Bob had already, my husband already
Yeah,
had one
the one.
rental
Yeah.
property, so it was a rinse and repeat type of thing.
Hmm.
So it didn't take an awful lot of skill. Bob and I were both, willing to do the work. Like if we need to change a water heater, Bob and I changed the water heater.
Did
If we need to
yourself.
put in a window,
Just figuring it
we
out.
put the window in. We changed the toilet.
So this wasn't
We
you
clean
kicking
them.
back the whole time. This
Oh
was you
no.
getting into it,
This
getting
is
your hands dirty, and figuring it out.
this is the part where I mean you got to sacrifice a little of your dignity
Okay.
to
Yeah.
go clean other people's toilets and get it ready for rental.
Oh,
You know,
amazing.
so
And so
that's what Bob and I did for years until we got enough apartments we could hire
mhm.
somebody to do the upgrades and repairs.
Yep. Later
And
on, but yeah.
yeah, and we just managed them. The people would send us the rent, and we'd keep the books on that.
Yeah, of course. And which is great. Like, long-term real estate, long-term rentals is awesome because, once you get that tenant in there, it's just making sure that the unit is in good health, good
Mhm.
function, replacing the water heater when it needs to go. But then you're able to do that passively while you also ran the vending business and then started securities
It was
business.
a lot of work.
And your husband worked full time. So this was
Yeah.
not like you're
Yeah.
not kicking back, you're getting your hands dirty and willing to take
hmm
that sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly.
And was there ever a time when you're doing all this? You're running here to go fill the chips up here, and you're running over here to go replace the toilet. You're just like, what did I get myself
That's
into?
right. That's right. But I considered, well, what's the alternative? Then you
Yeah.
start backsliding again.
Mm.
And at one point, Bob got laid off.
Oh,
So it, all the vending business apartment, the whole thing,
yeah.
at least it kept us afloat until he got another position. So that was scary.
How many months was that? What you just gotta?
I don't know. I'd have to ask Bob, but I mean, it must have been 5 months,
Yeah.
maybe.
But for a
But
family,
he had to
young
swallow his
kids.
dignity because he had a nice company car. He had the cell
Mm.
phone. He had the insurance for the car paid by the company. He traveled. He stayed in beautiful hotels. He got beautiful meals, wine, taking people out to dinner. I mean, and then he was filling vending machines.
And so he
Hmm
had to. You said he had to humble himself a little bit.
Quite a
Yeah. So he went from the nice hotels, went from the nice car,
bit. Yeah, it's
and then now he's filling a vending machine.
here's the keys,
Yep.
dear.
Yeah, there's the keys. Yeah. And which he was able to recover, but because you guys strategically made,
Thank God we had it.
you diversified.
Yeah.
And that was one of the main fears that got me. When I went through a period of time where I lost my job, was wanting diverse, multiple streams of
hmm
income, so that I don't have all my eggs in one basket.
hmm
And so rather than banking on, your husband at that time, very good job,
hmm
you're willing to put the effort in to start building some real
Yeah.
estate, start buying some vending machines, and building this business.
Yeah, and there
And
was a lot of criticism from, the neighbors like, what the hell are they doing? And
mm,
my family, and it
oh,
was like, what the heck are you guys doing? Blah, blah, you're killing yourselves for what? Blah, blah,
for what?
blah. So, you got to fight through that because are they right or am I right?
And what as you're, it's a mental battle as you're doing that, especially when you
Yes,
have people that you love and
because you
trust.
get criticized.
You get criticized. What was those deciding factors that you're like, no, this is worth it. This is the right. I'm doing the right path right now. But,
Just not having those college loans
mm,
and trying to build a retirement if we could
yeah,
after
good.
college. Who knew? Because college was so expensive.
But you had that mounting expense.
But it was right. So a lot of fear,
Yeah, a
and
lot
then
of fear.
fear of failure
Mm,
because everybody's watching what you're doing and they think you're a nutbag.
yeah, but I love the comment you made earlier of, well, what other choice do you have?
Right.
So like, we all have to make this decision as we sit here and we look at, say, the decision, say the financial hurdles that we have coming up. Like, how am I going to deal with this? Now, part of it is, yeah, getting a job, working a good career, but sometimes it's being strategic, being willing to strap on your boots, and being willing to get your hands dirty a little bit and
Hmm.
try some of these things that seem kind of crazy at the time,
Wacky, yeah, and
wacky,
risky.
yeah, risky for
It's a
sure.
risk. You're really taking on risk.
Yeah. But you were able to navigate that. What are some of those key let's call it strategies or decisions that you're able to make? Um, say that if someone else is looking at, say, buying some rentals, or someone else is looking at starting that business,
Well, like you,
yeah, yeah, like that.
read books, read a lot of books,
Mm-hmm.
try to go to educational venues,
Mm-hmm.
invest in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And once you invest in yourself, just like me taking a $20,000 loan, it's scary,
Yeah.
and sometimes you have to jump the broom to do that,
Mm-hmm.
and which adds more risk.
That's more risk.
Well,
Definitely. That's amazing.
but the bookstore is a good source of
The bookstore.
ideas,
Yeah.
and
How much did that
or
those books cost you?
not a lot.
Yeah, a
And
couple bucks.
I would buy books on tape, and while I was driving for the vending business, and the kids are in the car,
Yeah.
I'd put in Brian Tracy or somebody
Yeah.
like that. The kids are listening to all this, and the little buggers, didn't
Awesome.
they pick it up? It's
Yeah.
like, if it's to be, it's up to me. If it's to be, it's up to me.
I love that. Oh,
So motivational speakers and things like that,
hmm,
they listen to that all their life.
awesome.
But it is what kept me going because it's like, you can do this, you can do this.
And you had your inspiration in the back seat, sitting right there with you.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
A
I
lot, a
love
lot
that.
of motivation
That's
back
awesome.
there.
Oh, so as you did the whole the vending thing, you've done well with that. You've done with the real estate and this whole radio show thing.
Hmm.
What was that experience like? I feel like it's probably just like holding on to a bronco as you're trying to
Yes, yeah,
hold on
yeah.
tight or something like that.
Yeah, that radio show microphone was horrifying.
Yeah.
And because I didn't know anything. And the other
Hmm.
thing, I was not educated.
Yeah.
I didn't have a college background in economics
Hmm.
or accounting or all those things that would help
Yep.
you build that business.
Yep.
I had nothing. So a lot of the times it's like, luckily I had Kevin Kern and Dr. Lieberman
Hmm.
behind me, but you almost like you fake it before you make it type of thing.
But
You just have to plow through and learn the things that you need to learn.
and you were able to learn those things on the fly because like, I imagine for 10 years sitting there talking, answering these financial questions with these
Yeah,
experts help you become an
it
expert
was
into it
because they had more
yourself.
experience than I did.
And you just learn from
So
them, which is
that's
fantastic.
right.
That's the best.
This it
You
was. It
talk,
was it was great.
talk about pursuing education where
Hmm.
you have the opportunity where it's like, well, I can be the host. I can help divert these questions, but then I get the opportunity.
To learn.
All right,
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah.
And take
Become more expert at what you're trying to accomplish for your client.
mm, yeah,
Yeah,
I love that.
definitely.
I love that. And I love what you're
Awesome.
saying when it comes to just the opportunity walks right in front of you. And so you're looking for that
It
opportunity. And
does.
even we had both mentioned the Rich Dad Poor Dad book. One of the
Hmm.
things Robert likes to talk about in that book is selecting jobs not for what you're going to get financially, but the education you can get.
That's right. The experience. My first job was a waitress in a diner, and I had the breakfast shift, and it was like too over easy, burn the British. And
Yeah.
in fact, it was a joke in my family how much I made in tips
There you
off of
go.
that job. And my father would make my cousins and my siblings sit down, roll Annie's tips. And they were like,
Fast stack.
yeah, it was just like rolls of quarters.
There you go. Yeah, but
Yeah.
definitely learning, skill sets, working hard, and being, a great with the customers, which is, with doing securities, there's an educational
It's
component.
customer
Yeah,
service.
it's
You
educational
have to make
component,
them
but
feel
there's
secure.
yeah, there's this connection you have to make with these people,
Mm-hmm.
which is awesome.
Yeah, and trust. Yeah, a lot of trust.
And I love the strategy you used, utilizing the radio show in order to build that business, be what it was today, or be what it was when you exited, and give yourself again that retirement that you
Right.
started
Mm-hmm.
with in the beginning. So when you made that shift from the vending to the securities, what made you want to jump? Because you had done well with that vending business, but
Right. But scaling it
very hard.
was very hard. And there were a few incidences of the vending business where, like, a vending machine go flying down a set of
Mm-hmm.
stairs. There
Yep.
was risk. I actually flooded an office once
Oh, geez.
because my guy disconnected a coffee machine, and he put tape around the water supply. It busted over the weekend. It flooded all this new office space. And,
Oof.
luckily I had business insurance. But I thought,
Very
this is
smart.
it. They're going to sue me. I'm done. But, it was risky. I mean, people can get killed and crushed by
Yeah.
moving these vending machines.
Yeah.
So it's like my nerves were getting a little worn out. And the securities business, I just had to depend on myself for the most part.
There you go. Yeah, because it's just whether or not you're dialing, and it's one of those jobs where it scales.
Hmm.
And so, which there's a lot of people I've talked to, which they want that consistent paycheck. But sometimes when
Yeah,
you want to have the opportunity to earn more, you gotta tie your work, your pay with your work. Being able
that's
to,
it.
kind of take that risk, maybe take a pay down for a step down or something like that in the onset,
That's true. Yeah,
but then being able to build up that book of work
that's
over
right.
time.
Yeah, that was hard because it wasn't dependable income.
Hmm.
There were ups and downs, and then you had like the crash of 2008.
Oh,
And
selling securities during financial market crashes,
yeah,
definitely the
that was,
funnest thing in the world. I can imagine. Oh,
I know
geez.
it. It was tough. You're trying to keep clients invested the appropriate way, not have them panic,
Hmm.
and keep their income going, because a lot of my um, clients were retired already. They
Yes.
needed that cash flow
Mm.
without depleting the portfolio.
Hmm.
That was the trick.
Being able to.
And you had to get them through that. And anyway, a lot of stories about 2008, but I
I can,
won't bore you.
I'm sure it was very fun,
It's
especially with
pretty
trying to do the
scary.
securities during that
Yeah.
time. And I'm seeing a pattern here because with essentially a pattern of you betting on yourself.
Hmm.
So with starting the vending business, that was one thing where you went into debt to start this company that it's up to you to make it work.
Hmm.
And you did the same thing when you jumped into securities because yeah, if you got no clients, you got no money.
Right.
And so you're like, I believe that I can make this work out. And this was before, the radio show didn't happen until later. And so this was like
Yeah.
just you after running a vending business. I bet you felt really qualified.
Nah, no, I
No.
didn't.
And so
I didn't. So that's why I was going to firms, because I wanted the training
jumping
to
into a job to
learn.
learn. I love that.
And at any rate, so yeah, it was tough. It
Awesome.
was definitely tough.
Love it. So thinking about, say, someone who's listening right now, and,
Yep.
and they're wanting to um, look for their own path to build wealth. What's some advice you can give them on when they're looking to decide, and then honestly trying to manage some of the stress that comes with that?
Yeah, sometimes you have to develop different income streams,
Hmm.
side gigs.
Yeah.
Have, plan B in your back pocket,
Yep.
and figure out ways to create income streams. Some people simply go to um, the local thrift shop, they buy stuff,
Yep.
and then they resell it over the internet,
Crazy.
and they make a lot of money at it.
And it's not easy work because
Mm-mm.
it's a volume sort of game. But yeah.
I know somebody that does this crazy couponing, and she gets all these products and then she sells them to her neighbors in the neighborhood.
Oh, she gets products at a discount and
Yeah, she'll buy,
wholesale essentially.
yeah, yeah, and she gets BOGOs, like, buy
Yeah.
one
Get
get
one
one
free.
free.
Yeah.
She sells them to her neighbors for a discounted price.
Yep.
But she makes a lot of money doing it.
Amazing. And so just looking for these different opportunities,
Hmm.
looking for areas that you can add some value, and being willing to put some work in on the onset. Because yeah, it's
Got to put a
embarrassing.
lot of work in.
Sometimes it's not glamorous,
It's not.
sitting there sorting
No,
through coupons or filling up vending
no,
machines and
no. They can be very simple things. Yeah.
very simple things, but things where you can add value, work hard in the right now, and
Hmm.
work hard for your future.
Yeah.
Investing now for your future.
So one of the sayings that made a lot of sense to me was, "Lead, follower, get out of the way."
Okay. I love that.
And you just have to pick. You have to be either, and this is what I told my kids. I said,
Mm,
you either be rich or you be poor. I said, do not be middle class, because middle class, they have to pay for everything.
mm,
They get nothing for free. And then when the washer breaks down, um, the dryer, the car breaks down, they
mhm,
don't have the savings to pay for it.
mhm.
And it's just a vicious cycle.
Mm. Of just trying to live above your means for a while, where you
Right.
don't have like the savings to handle those emergencies.
Every time you save something, it gets wiped out because the
Mm,
washer broke down.
yep. Big.
Is something like that comes up. So you have to develop these other income streams that pays for that stuff, because it's going to happen. Your
Yeah.
car is going to break down.
Yeah. And I love it's like even for a period of time, you're gonna
Hmm.
live poor, but
Right.
so that you
Hmm.
can put that money aside to then build that wealth, so that over time, then yeah, maybe you can kind of cut loose a little bit. There are some times we need to tighten your belt up a little bit, and
Yeah, you
to
can
be
tighten
able
it a
to
lot.
invest in that
Hmm.
future. And yeah, you can tighten a lot. And
Yeah.
I think this good thread that you have is being willing to be
People need
embarrassed.
to be a counter. Everything counts.
Yeah.
You wake up in the morning, turn around, make your bed. That's an
Mm,
accomplishment in itself.
mm,
Every move you make after you make your bed, it's either counting for you or it's counting against you. So be very picky about what your activities are during the
yep.
day.
Yeah. Oh, I love
So,
that. And then you're able to, and you had said this before, like being able to, not right now, it may not be glamorous, but yeah, don't buy that nice car. Put that money
right.
aside. Being able to save up so that then yeah, later you can be a little bit more
Yeah, don't buy
glamorous.
any depreciating assets. We
No,
don't
no.
want that.
Well, it's the Dave Ramsey thing. Today I'm going to live like no one else, so
Mm-hmm.
that later I can live like no one else.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
That's right. Yeah,
Well, thank you,
agreed.
Anna. I
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on the
Oh,
show.
you're welcome.
Do you have anything else you kind of want to say to the audience before we hop off?
Um, to young kids,
Yeah.
and I think that they need to listen to, or even anybody, I guess, like, a Dave Ramsey, a Clark Howard, but know that everything counts that
Hmm.
you do. I mean, when you're a junior or senior in high school,
Yeah.
it might help if they learn how to read an insurance contract, because they're going to be buying a killing machine,
Yeah.
and they need to know how serious that is.
Hmm.
And, I think they ought to be buying their own car insurance, not
Okay.
have mommy and daddy do it.
Yeah. But
So,
that's them taking their own personal responsibility early on.
right,
You know?
right, that's your first taste. But I don't think they give kids
Hmm. Well, it's
that responsibility.
don't delay your responsibility. Take it
I
on
wouldn't.
as quick as you can, so
Yeah.
that you can begin learning
Hmm.
how to operate in this
Hmm.
world and not end up in your mid 30s with no financial security or no idea what financial education looks like.
Which brings me to my next statement. Every dollar you earn, you save 20 cents.
Mm-hmm.
And if kids can absorb that, or even young people, young married people,
Yep.
great. We earn so many dollars, we're going to save 20%.
Yeah. Love it.
And it'll help.
Just don't save more,
Yeah,
don't spend everything you make.
it's right.
I
Live
love it.
within your means,
Love
for
it.
sure.
There you go. Well,
Okay.
thank you, Anne.
All right.
Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
It was really nice.
Yeah.